Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spike Kool-Aid for Monday, February 2nd, 2026. Oh, yeah. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I wasn't even going to get on today, but then I saw the news and I said I had to get on and talk to my people, man. You see it from the screen below. Levi Onwuzurike will return to the Detroit Lions. Right one, wrong time. Who says, oh, yeah, man, we feeling some type of way today, but that's okay. I had to take a break, man, this team. I'm working on a single. I'm going to drop that by the draft. I got to just write the lyrics out, man. Find a studio, put it together. We ain't good, but we still good. You will never, ever, ever listen to this song the same, man. Shout out to Josh Paschal, Brad Matthias. So I got a question for y'all, man. Super Bowl week is this week. Do you plan to watch the Super Bowl? I ain't watching jack, man. I ain't watching nothing, man. Second year in a row, I ain't watching the Super Bowl. But I saw a really cool pick yesterday. Lions at the Pro Bowl games. Almost threw up in my mouth, bro. Pro Bowl, Schmo Bowl, nobody give a faux bowl, bro. Pro Bowl games. We talking about Pro Bowl, not a game, not the Super Bowl. We talking about Pro Bowl, bro. Right one time. Can't say he didn't try. Single dropping by the draft, baby. That's gonna be the anthem. Brad, is we good or is we good? Man, you hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Getting any better? Hey, Brad. Are we good, Brad? Are we still good? Y'all thought I was gonna let this track play and not sing? What's wrong with you? Young Cooks. And we still good. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. What up, though? What's good, man? At least we got the Pistons. At least we got the Pistons, bro. Oh, man. Let me pop out the chat real quick. I saw that I got a super chat during the intro, man. I got a super chat during the intro, man. Let me see who it is. Braylon says, you called it there. Appreciate the super chat, bro. You know what, man? Yeah, I called it. A lot of other people did as well. I do appreciate that. Shift in the building. Jay Smooth. Michael. We got Kiera in the building. One Pride. What up, though? What's good? Kent Paschal wasn't bad before he got hurt. I heard the same thing about Marcus Davenport as well. You know what, man? When Braylon and you guys are tagging me, so I have my phone. My phone is on Do Not Disturb, right? And so I see, so like when people tag me, they'll just be like at Lion Syndicate, or they'll say Lion Syndicate, and then they'll have something behind it. And I'm like, what done happened now, right? So I'm clicking on everybody's tagging me with this, which is awesome, man. You guys are awesome. And I'm like, so I'm waiting on it to load, and I'm like, what could it be? And I'm dead serious, man. I thought Marcus Davenport was re-signed. I literally thought, and I was going to go on a absolute tangent. Let me see. Shout out to B Orlando. We got more so. What up? What up, X? What's good with you? Let me see. Cheap filler at thin position group. We want quality at these critical positions, especially the trenches, but cap space needed for O-line, rookie extensions more. What up, Aaron? Will I am. What up? Shout out to Juan. Says, I'm okay with Paschal, to be honest, but Levi is a lost cause. What happened? Jay, what happened? I'll tell you in a minute, bro. We gonna get right into it. What up, Wealthy Build? Change the title, Spike Kool-Aid. Let me see. Where in the title in the video? You know I'm always making a typo, dog. No big deal. What type? What are we talking about? I mixed up some letters. I always do that too. Let me see what he's talking about. Y'all be on it with the title, bro. Y'all be on it, bro. Y'all be on it. We got a super chat from Anna D. Says, we not good, but we still good, bro. Hey, and we ain't none of that. We ain't none of that right now. Let me see. Go here, go there. Spike Kool-Aid, Detroit Lions. Levi, Onwuzurike will return. Yeah. You know what's funny, bro, is I literally saw that and retyped it the same way, which is crazy, bro. All right, Fix. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, my guy. Oh, so what's up? Are y'all watching the Super Bowl or what? Are you watching the Super Bowl? What up, Will? What's good with you? Let me see. What's up? Can we keep Dennis in your prayers? He lost his house in the fire. Wait, Dennis who? Who lost their house in the fire? No, yeah, I know. I always mix up letters. But yeah, I fixed it. Thanks. Appreciate that. I'm not watching the Super Bowl, says Will. All right, man. Let's get into it, bro. First of all, I hope everybody had a great weekend. And I really was undecided, man. I didn't know if I was going to get on. I really didn't know if I was going to, how much I was going to talk about the Detroit Lions this particular week. So it has been 4 weeks. Yesterday was 4 weeks, man, since we had our last game. It seems like forever, and also just like that in the same blink of an eye, man. Like, it seemed like it hasn't been 4 weeks, but it seems like it has at the same time. So I don't know, man. Like I said, I've been kind of on a different wavelength. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been feeling where I just don't know what. Like, I'm not excited. I'm not excited. It's hard to be excited about something. It's hard to make content about something when you're not excited about it. Shout out to Dan with the super chat. Appreciate you. Says 29 or 2 for 50 to the soundboard win. I actually had it to the soundboard, bro, but I had to delete it because, yeah, but I need to add that. Go Seahawks. Sam Darnold beat Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. They're big fat zero Super Bowl appearances. Yeah, neither one of them has a Super Bowl. Shout out to KJ Plays with the super chat. Says, I don't care who wins, but it would be hilarious if Sam Darnold won. Yeah. What up, Lou? What's good with you, man? It would be hilarious if he won. I think he's going to win. I think Sam Darnold is going to win. I think Kwesi, that's one of the reasons he got fired. So I made a video on Friday, and I knew it wasn't going to be well received, but I don't care. Like, I think I wind up losing about 10 subscribers from that video because, okay, so if you watch Lion Syndicate or Syndicate Sports Detroit on a regular basis, okay, you should know what I'm saying. I shouldn't have to break it down. And there are still people that's trying to hold on to this team and what we used to be. And when I say used to be, I mean a few years ago. And I think it's very obvious the comparison that I was making between Kwesi and Brad Holmes. And the point of the matter is, and I think Lions fans are so clouded by their unwavering faith in this team that you miss the point that I was trying to make about Kwesi, the comparison. Now, I'm not saying that they drafted the same. Kwesi has some good things that he did under his watch. He got that defense top tier, okay? But he made some colossal mistakes. And I think one of the things about that was the nail in his coffin is the two quarterbacks that he let walk for pretty much nothing. And he had a struggling quarterback, right? Justin Jefferson made some comments about Sam Darnold, and I think Justin Jefferson will not be a Minnesota Viking in a few years. I think they're going to trade him. I think the new general manager is going to come in, and he's going to realize what he has, and he's going to trade Justin Jefferson. But the point, I'm just like, there's no excitement for 2026, in my opinion, and we're going to get into why in a second. Sam Darnold is an underdog. Love underdog stories. What up, Rufus? What's up? What's up? Yes, go Pistons, man. As a matter of fact, I wanted to actually start with them, man. Shout out to the Pistons. First of all, let me just real quick go to the Western Conference. I was not familiar with SGA. I have not been watching basketball in years. Almost 2 decades I haven't watched basketball. The last time I watched basketball on a regular basis, it was in standard definition. That's like 480p. That's how long it's been. Like, we got high def, which is like 720 and above, right? We've got 4K, we've got 8K, we've got all these different definitions. I have not watched basketball literally since 480p. Like, it's crazy. So SGA, so I'm watching, most of the games are on TV. I'm watching the games. I'm seeing the same teams over and over and over. I'm seeing the Denver Broncos, the Denver Nuggets, the Pistons, of course. And so I'm watching SGA. So the first time I heard SGA's name was when Shaq's show, when he's doing this little on Netflix or whatever it was about trying to revitalize Reebok. So I'm like, who the heck is SGA? I didn't know. And so I'm watching the dude, and I'm like, wow, I see why he won MVP last year. The dude I'm like, wow. So anyway, Pistons though. Pistons still lead the East by a nice little margin. They got a nice cushion. All-Star game is about, in 2 weeks or so. And Cade, Jalen Duren are in the All-Star game. But the Pistons, man, I think that their defense is phenomenal. They are a shooter away from really being able to go deep, is from what I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Duncan Robinson is off, Cade is off, then you're going to have to rely on, there's no really real mid-range jumper person. And I don't even know if that exists in the NFL, in the NBA anymore. I mean, like we talked about it on Friday, about where did the mid-range jumper go. I actually was watching a game last night, and there's a player that leads the league in mid-range jumpers. And I'm like, man, where did they go? It seems like it's not there anymore. You're either shooting a three or you're going to the basket. There's not many people. I don't know if like Kobe was like the last person to really pull up from the elbow or where that is, but it's either a post up, a drive, or a three. I mean, 50% of the shots in the NBA seem like it's a three anyway. And if your threes are off, then you typically lose. That's what it is. I mean, what was it? OKC went like 50% from three yesterday. They shot at one point, they were 17 for 34 from beyond the arc. So I don't know. I know Michael Porter Jr., he set yesterday. He did, and the net. I mean, the Nets are terrible. Like, I was like, oh my God, these dudes had like 20-some points in a half. Man, they were terrible. So I'm like, is he getting traded? Are the Pistons going to make any moves? I don't know. Trade deadline is Thursday, but we will see. I know Schroeder, former Detroit Piston, just got traded, I guess, an hour ago. Pistons kicking Heine to censor myself for the comment crowd. Yeah, they're you know what? Their defense does remind me of the going to work Pistons. Like, it really does, man. But I was like, man, watching the NBA, how much has changed is kind of crazy. I think I lean Michael Porter Jr. more than Miles Bridges. Lions getting so bad that he switched to basketball. No, So here's what happened. So I'm gonna be real with you. The reason that I start watching basketball is I'm like, the Pistons were 12-2. They had won like 10 straight, and so they piqued my interest. And I'm like, let me see what they about, right? So I used to watch the Pistons a long time ago, like Joe Dumars, Isaiah Thomas, Adrian Dantley. Like, I remember all those guys. So then I was watching Bill Laimbeer, all that whole arc. And then the going to work Pistons, Chauncey Billups, he was my favorite, NBA player at that time with the Pistons. And I had his jersey and all that stuff. And but the Pistons, man, are like a great distraction. And obviously they're going to make the playoffs, right? Unless they have a colossal collapse. So that's going to take you till April. April, you got 7-game series. And then that's going to take you to like May. So we're talking about the draft. The Pistons will be playing during the NFL draft. So you have that. So they're going to be a huge distraction. And if they were to make the NBA Finals, then you're talking about mid-June. And mid-June, we're on the blink of training camp. So they're going to be a huge distraction. And I'm already seeing that basketball is a giant distraction. I've even been watching some college as well. Hope he find a way to keep Dennis Jenkins. Okay, so Dennis is a two-way player, right? The Pistons, so I was looking up some information about how that works, and apparently a two-way player is almost like a practice squad dude in the NFL that he's on under contract for like 50-some days or something like that, and then I think you have to make a decision on whether to send him back to the G League or to keep him on. There's no way he goes back. So the Pistons had something very interesting happen yesterday. They had 2 buzzer beater shots as the quarter 1 and 2 was ending. One was a Dennis Jenkins layup, and then the other one was a Asar Thompson three-pointer that both beat the buzzer, but the Pistons were on fire yesterday. Roof is with the super chat. What up, though, man? Says, real question. If the Pistons win a chip before the Lions, does that relieve pressure to win a Super Bowl or increase it? What do you think? I think I already know the answer. Sorry, I'm talking about the Pistons, but it's therapeutic. No, listen, Rufus. This channel is about Detroit sports. This show is about the Detroit Lions. But because I'm the only content creator on the channel, that it's okay if we talk about the Pistons. We're going to talk about the Pistons whenever they play. So I've been watching all the games since they were like 12 and 2. So I started watching. So I'm like, okay, so I'm refamiliarizing myself with the game of basketball and noticing some differences. And I see right now that they need a shooter, because if Duncan Robinson goes cold, if Cade is cold, but Jalen Duren is a dog. He is a dog, man. But yeah, I think if we could have another shooter, then I think that we could go far. So absolutely. All right, so let's bro, we gonna make that a segment. All right, shout out to Rufus in the comment section. He left a super chat, and I think it's a great talking point. He says, real question, if the Pistons win a chip before the Lions, does that relieve pressure to win a Super Bowl or increase it? What do you think? Says, I think I already know the answer, and I'm sure you do as well. And that answer is going to be, it's going to not relieve anything. It's going to add pressure on the Detroit Lions. Not that they already don't have enough pressure, because, again, we all know the stats. We are the only NFL NFC team to not appear in the Super Bowl, the oldest team to not appear in the Super Bowl. So those are stats that we already know. But if the Detroit Pistons were to win a third title under a different group of men, you had the bad boys, then you had the going to work, and these are, I don't know what their name is, this version of the Pistons, but they are very similar to me. They got a little bad boy in them, but they got more of the going to work Pistons. If they were to win a title before the Lions, then that will add pressure. It 100% would. So, and I think that it's a real possibility. If you look at the Indiana Pacers, where they were last year, taking OKC to a 7-game series. The Pistons are number one in the East. You've got OKC number one in the West. There could be a matchup. Of course, you got to get there. You got to go through all the rounds and get to the finals. But the Pistons, because of their defense, you got the number 1 and 2 defensive teams in the league with OKC and Detroit. If they go, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be dogfight. Don't let the Pistons get another shooter before the trade deadline. But it will 100% add pressure. 100%, because you're talking about if you paint this picture, you're talking about when the Pistons used to play at the Silverdome and in the shorts that's not made for TV, Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, Vinnie Johnson. You know what I'm saying? You go back then when they used to close off half of the Silverdome. Then you've got the Palace, right? You've got back-to-back championships in the late 80s. Then you've got the one in the mid-90s. The Pistons were a Robert Horry shot away from taking a 2-3 lead on the Spurs, and I think they would have won. They would have won, but instead it went the Spurs' way. But they won in 2004. Now they're relevant again. Just a few years ago, they lost 28 straight games. So the Pistons winning a championship again for the third time since the Lions have been in the Super Bowl era, because I don't think the Pistons won between 88 and 1950, 60, or whatever the Super Bowl came. If the Pistons win a Super Bowl, you're talking about, I think it's going to be added pressure. And the Lions need that. They need added pressure, because when you have the Seattle Seahawks going to the Super Bowl with a quarterback who was a first-round pick in 2018, who has bounced around to, I think this is Sam Darnold was drafted by the Jets. Then he wound up on the Carolina Panthers. He went to the San Francisco 49ers, right? So the Minnesota Vikings. So he's on his 5th NFL team, and he led his team to a Super Bowl. Most of that was because of the defensive side of the ball. Listen, winning covers everything. It really does. And when you're no longer winning, and in the Lions case, not winning enough, it's going to expose the cracks. And the Pistons win a championship again before the Lions even get there would be another slap in the face, in my opinion. But I think it's just what this franchise needs. I really do. I think that the Lions, this year was a rude awakening, and we found out that 2 players are coming back, most likely because of some loophole in the CBA. So the Lions are, right now we haven't gotten any better. So we'll see, but the Pistons winning a championship would be colossal for the pressure that will be under the Lions, because you cannot have the roster. Everybody wants to praise Brad Holmes for what he's done, which they should. He's earned that praise, but not to the point where he's untouchable. And I think the Pistons, Tigers, Red Wings, they're doing very well as well. That'd be something if the Red Wings and Pistons won in the same year. And then the Tigers just, they continue on their success from last year. And now you got the Lions sitting at the bottom of the professional franchises in the city of Detroit. That would be, and you know what? That might be a good thing too, because I think this team needs to be under pressure. They need to be under pressure. This regime has 2 years left as of right now. They need to be under pressure. They cannot mess this up. They have to be flawless in the draft, in the offseason. You cannot have any more mistakes. The Lions' upper management cannot afford any mistakes. You cannot afford a Trinity Benson. You cannot afford a Broderick Martin, a Giovanni Manu. You cannot afford a Ennis Rakestraw. And you better hope, for your sake, that Ennis Rakestraw pays dividends this year. So I think it would be great. It would be great, man. I want as much pressure as possible for my football team, because the NFL stands for not for long. You have 31 teams that fail every year. You have to be the best of the best of the best. And the Lions have yet to do that. And maybe winning from the Pistons will put pressure and say, hey, here we go again. The Tigers are doing well. The Red Wings are doing well. The Pistons won a championship. What are we doing? What are we doing? Because Lord knows that Detroit is a football city. The Pistons, the Red Wings, the Tigers, they're like consolation prizes. They are icing on the cake. The main course is the Detroit Lions. They run the city, they run the state, they run the town, as they should. This would be more pressure, added pressure, and something that I would love to see, honestly. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Pistons are $21 million over the cap. I don't see them making a big move. Man, Sergey, I don't remember the controversy because I think I was too young, but I do remember watching some of those games. Like I said, man, Pistons got 3 titles. We might get 4. Man, and we were so close to 4. And you know what? To be honest with you, that's what broke me from the Pistons was the 2005 season. That season broke me, man, because I'm watching and I see Robert Horry. I'm like, the one dude you can't leave open, right? And then you just started to see the Pistons decline that year. And because what was the year that the Pistons won like 62 games, man? They were killing. Well, I don't know if that was the 04 or 05, but when they were playing very well. So, look, let me know, like, don't be afraid to talk about the Pistons, like, because that's what I'm glad I started watching. I'm glad because I was around, like, I watched the Pistons when Milwaukee crushed them, and a couple years ago when Milwaukee won the title. And the Pistons, like, scraped in the playoffs. And I think this is before the play-in, so they were like the 8th seed or something and got destroyed. I've always hated that, by the way. I've hated how the number 1 seed plays the 8th seed. I think it's unfair. I think you should do – if I was to do it, I think, like, it should be 1-5, 2-6, 3-7, 4-8. That's what I would do. I think it would be a better matchup than 1-8 because usually it's always a beatdown when it's 1 versus 8. So don't be afraid to talk about the Pistons. What happened to Ahmed Hassani? Nothing. I believe Sheila needs to step down. Bro, why would Sheila step down? Listen, y'all don't want Sheila Hamp to step down. Who's after her? Hey, Derek, check your voicemail sometime in the show. I got a question I need to answer to. Okay, actually, my phone is charging, so I'll check that out in a second. That was the 05-06 season, the year Ben Wallace last year in Detroit. Okay, so Aaron, so we won the title 03-04, right? So 04-05 was Robert Horry, so that was after that? That's crazy, bro. Let me see. Unfair. I feel the same way if the 1 seed got beat. Bad. But Denver, how often does the 8 seed beat the 1 seed? How often does it happen? Especially with the 7-game series. When it was, you know what I hated? I hated the best of 5. I hated that 5. I always thought I hated it, bro. When they went to all series should be 7 games. That's how it should be. Even in the MLB, bro. I can't stand, what is it, a 3-game series? It's like you win 2, it's over. So that's what I mean, because you're talking about competition, right? So you want it to be competitive. 1 versus 8 is usually never competitive. It never is. It's a sweep or 4-1. That's what I mean. It's unfair. Fresh and Fly says, Derek, I have a question. If Joe Dumars left the Pistons and played for another team during his career, would he still be your favorite player? Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. I just like how Joe carried himself. He was a shooter. You know what I'm saying? Great defense, and he carried himself very well. You really didn't see a lot of altercations. He was like just a deadly assassin, bro. I love me some Joe Dumars. They have that in basketball. I hate the 5-game series, ADS, LODS. I say that because I don't think she's wrong. She's strong enough to make the decision that we need to win the Super Bowl as an organization. Okay, Tay, what is that decision? What would you call that decision? And we're going to get into the main event of this, the main topic of this video as well. I want to make sure that I don't forget about that. Let me pull that up. Underdogs win sometimes. Okay, Trees. All right. If you look, what's up, Will? If you go and you look, and it's almost like the NFL, right? The playoffs. How often does a 6 seed, or in this case, a 6 or 7 seed, make the Super Bowl? It's very rare. So how often, I'm not going to do this because I didn't think to do this. How often does a 8 seed upset a 1 seed? How often? It does happen, but how often, especially in a 7-game series? It's very rare, right? It's rare. The AFC might win a game. They might win two games, but there's no competition to me. Lions Mania, what up, though? Yeah, Joey D was my guy, man. Did I like Rip Hamilton? Absolutely. I like Rip. I like Chauncey. I like that entire squad, man. Okay, Denver says it has happened 8 times. Okay, in how many years? How many years has it happened? The Frozen one says, I am really hoping that the title is a parody or an early April Fool's prank. Okay, let me go grab my phone. I'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Yo. Ooh, hey, yo. All right. I know y'all don't think this is a big deal, but I do. Where is my... Okay, there it is. What happened to my... Oh, I had to fix the... Oh, okay, hold on, y'all. Wow. It's nothing Lions related, but man. All right, and if you missed Friday's show, shout out to everybody rocking with the channel as well. Man, we got kind of some big news. I think it has nothing to do with us directly, but I think it has a lot to do with us indirectly. I think it says a lot about our organization, okay? But before we get into that, here is a shirt. Shout out to the absolute best fan base on the internet. Like, real talk, bro. You guys are awesome, and I could not ask for a better fan base. Real talk. I don't have 100,000 subscribers. I don't get record-breaking live streams. As a matter of fact, YouTube likes to hide them, but you guys come out on a consistent basis. And every time that I want to challenge myself, or I feel like I could be doing more, because I always want to be a better creator. Like, the dreams and goals that I have, y'all, are something that I don't think anybody else has in this space. But I have the best fan base. And if you ever meet me at a game, don't ever feel that I am dismissing you. I usually want to let you get back to your seat, or I don't want to hold you up. I had a comment that a person said that he met me and I seem very dismissive. I don't know if I was hot, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, but that is not what I'm trying to give off. So if you ever feel that way, please let me know, because that's not my intent. As a matter of fact, the last game I went to, November 3rd, I put that I would be standing by a statue, an all grit sign at Ford Field, and one person came up. Usually what I'll do, like I have met people at their seat. I'll tell them to stay where they are. I'll come see you. By the time I'm getting there, I'm dripping wet with sweat because it's hot, it's crowded. But so I don't want anybody to ever feel like that. But I have the best fan base on the internet. That's just my opinion. You know, if you guys missed Friday's show, here is a shirt that a lot of people was complaining about, the St. Brown shirt. And my dude, who is not only a director tier member, which is the highest member of the channel of Lion Syndicate, he redesigned the shirt. He took it and actually made it look closer to St. Brown. Fantastic, phenomenal, beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss. Love it. Did it on his own and didn't ask for anything. Didn't ask for anything. And this is the shirt that will be going on sale sometime this month. I have to get the shirt. I got to get it. Check it out. I want to know the quality before I make it public, you know, for the public. It will be a little more costly because on the back, there's the Lion Syndicate logo. It's right below the collar. So that way my brand and stuff can still be on it. But this is a shirt to the Amon-Ra St. Brown, relax, you don't know ball, right? So this will be on sale. But the redesign was done from the kindness, and he told me whatever else you need, let me know, right? This is the kind of fan base that I have. And I just want to say thank you. And like I said, y'all, if I ever offend anyone, please let me know, because it is not my intention to do that. I'm not trying to do that at all, especially you guys. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. So if I come across like that, maybe I'm having a bad moment or something, because I don't know, like, I don't even know who this person was, but said he met me and I seemed very dismissive. And, you know, I took that personal, because that's not what I'm trying to be. All right. So we got some news, bruh. And I think that this is a big deal. Okay. And I think it is going to, I didn't even know this because, so y'all knew before me, you guys knew before me, but I just found this out. Because my phone is on Do Not Disturb, so I don't know what's happening until, like, if you guys don't tag me, I probably will be late finding out what's happening. Okay, so let me pull out my chat. Let me pop this out so I can have it over there. Let me see. I got a St. Brown bobblehead. Hey, look, St. Brown, he messed up, man. One thing that you cannot do, you cannot bash. You can talk positive about the fans, but the moment you turn negative and then the condescending, you don't know ball, that is the number one thing that people go to when they want to win a football conversation, is you don't know ball, right? So I would say 95% of the fan base doesn't know ball. Sheila Hemp doesn't know ball. She knows how to write checks. She hires people who does. So not only she was talking, he wasn't just talking about us. He was talking about the team's owner. I almost said his owner, but that sounds weird. So he was talking about the team's owner. Okay. So yeah. So that shirt will be, I got to get it. I'm going to check it out, have it on, see what the material is like and stuff like that. And again, it's going to be a little higher in price to cover the logo being on the back, because I got to put my logo somewhere on the shirt. Okay, Wealth, I got my phone, had to let it charge a bit. I'll bring that in sometime before we get off the show. But we've got some news. Well, I should say, it's news to me because I didn't see it. Okay. All righty then. Ooh, I think this is going to be hot. I think this is going to be hot, y'all. All right. So I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I'm in the business of doing that. As a matter of fact, I should start a segment, ruffle some feathers, because, that's what I do. And I think that this conversation is inevitable. It is something that we are going to have to talk about. I just saw today, now this happened many, many hours ago, this does not have anything to do directly with our team, but I think that it is relevant to the future of the Detroit Lions. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have already earned an extension. In 2020, when they got hired, so the 2021 season, they had a 5 and 6 year deal respectively. Dan Campbell got 6, Brad got 5. And by the end of year 3, we went from 3-13-1, 9-8, just missing the playoffs, and we went to 12-5, made the playoffs, 15-2 in year 4, year 5, 9-8. Didn't make the playoffs. So it's kind of funny how 2 playoff appearances were booked in by a 9-8 season, in which in 2022 we were a half game for missing the playoffs or making the playoffs. In 2025, we were more like a game and a half. If we would have beat the Steelers, the Vikings, 1 team would have made it interesting, 2 would have got us in the playoffs. So if we would have beat any other 2 teams, so never ever, no matter what conference the opponent is, don't talk about that this game is a game we can afford to lose, because in the NFL, there's no such thing. So to take us from 3-13-1 to the NFC Championship game in 3 years is fantastic. And because of that, they've earned an extension. A lot of you guys feel that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are untouchable because of where they brought us. And I think it is the quickness in which they brought us, because a lot of you guys did not expect us to be anything in 2023. And what I heard was we're in year 3 of a rebuild. I always hated that. How many years do you need of a rebuild? Year 1, I understand. Year 2, okay. Year 3 of a 5 and 6 year contract. How many years do you need to rebuild? We've seen teams with 1 year turnarounds. So for me, year 1 of a rebuild, year 2, maybe. But by year 3, you need to throw that year build mess away. Because, again, we have seen many teams year after year go from worst to first, from missing the playoffs to making the Super Bowl. Like, it happened. Patriots, 2 years away from a top 5 pick, from the 3rd pick in the NFL draft to now playing in the Super Bowl. Got a first-year head coach with them, former player, right? You look at the other side, the Seattle Seahawks got rid of their quarterback, signed a vagabond, and now they're in the Super Bowl. So, but here's what the point of this video is. A team that the Lions are very familiar with. As a matter of fact, our general manager came from that team. Look what they decided to do today. And I think this is intriguing. According to Adam Schefter, and again, this happened many, many moons ago, earlier this morning, says the Rams signed head coach Sean McVay and general manager Les Snead 2 contract extensions. Now, I don't know what their current contract was. I have no idea. I don't know when it ended. I don't know how long this one is. How long is their contract extensions? But I think it's intriguing because we've been talking about that a lot, or I should say, I've been talking about what happens with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes earned their first extension 2 years ago. If you compare the two, which I like to do this. I like to compare the 2 teams because of where our general manager came from. You were a scouting director for the Rams. When you got hired, you mentioned Rams at least 20 times. And I'm exaggerating. I'm being hyperbolic. It had to be at least 10, though. Rams was in every precedent he was trying to set. It was because of what the Rams did. The Rams did. So let's compare, shall we? People like to say that the Rams were further along than the Detroit Lions when the trade happened. Okay. In that same amount of time. Okay. And this is why I can't vibe with that philosophy. In that same amount of time that the Rams and Lions have made the trade, so 5 years ago, the Rams have only missed the playoffs once. Okay. They've only missed the playoffs one time. And that was when their quarterback was hurt. They went to two NFC championship games, one Super Bowl, won that Super Bowl, was a sack away from a third NFC championship game. So in that 5 years, you made the playoffs 4 out of 5 times. You went to the Super Bowl and won it once. You went to 2 NFC championship games, and you were a pass away from your third in 5 years. Now, what were the Rams missing? We had their first round picks. And in that amount of time, you get Jerry Verse, you get Kobe Turner, and if I'm not mistaken, and you get Puka Nacua. And if I'm not mistaken, you also now have a first round pick from another team. So you gave up your first round picks, still won a Super Bowl, still stayed relevant, only missed the playoffs once. Now, let's fast forward to year 5. Would you say that the Lions, and at any point in the 5 years that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have been in charge of this team, at any point, are they equal to where the Rams were in 2021? So are they close to the team that the Rams had when we made the trade? Because the teams were so different, right? So would you say that? Would you say that the Rams and Lions that the Lions at any point in this 5-year run were where the Rams were before the trade or when the trade happened? So Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, they did this 2 years ago. They've earned an extension. But I think that this is very telling because the Rams wasted no time extending the general manager, Mr. Forget Them Picks, and Sean McVay. I think this is very telling. I really, truly do. Because even though in that same amount of time they only have one Super Bowl, they've only not been competitive one season. That's it. That's the only time. The Lions, in the 5, see, when you start to really strip away all the emotion of this team, we've only been to the playoffs twice. You guys realize that, right? Year 1 was a wash. Year 2 was an almost. Year 3 and 4 were top of the world. Year 5, we didn't make it. So out of 5 years, we've only made the playoffs twice. And I think that for me personally, I've never went with excuses ever. But I think that a lot of Lions fans, they try to find excuses to defend the failures of this team. And I don't think that's the right thing to do. So now when you strip everything away, we're going into year 6. The Lions have 2 playoff appearances. What has earned Dan Campbell? I'm going to tell you right now, what earned an extension from Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes was the 2023 season. The fact that we won the division for the first time. And we now we win the division. We win a home playoff game. We win another home playoff game. We're NFC Championship in year 3. That's what earned them an extension. They didn't get up after the 15-2 season. They didn't get one, right? Okay, well, they weren't even in that. They had already been extended. Why add some more years? After this year, they didn't get one. So when are they, what are you going, so the Rams, they secure, and again, I don't know what the length of this extension is. I don't know what they had left. I don't know what they have now and what they have total. But Les Snead said, forget them picks. So isn't it kind of funny that people the general managers that are aggressive with their picks, that are in the realm of forget them picks, or one of those two things, that they have Super Bowl championships. You've got Les Snead, you got Howie Roseman. And both of those guys are Super Bowl champions. And yet the Detroit Lions, now we're looking at what's going to happen in the next 2 years. So I think it's very telling. Of course, from the outside looking in, I don't know anything about their deal, how long they had, if they were on the last year, or whatever. But the same team that said forget them picks has now extended their general manager and coach, the combo. They're gonna have that combo for a few more years now. But we don't know what's happening with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. There's a reason that they have not been extended. If you're going to extend somebody, this is when you do it. You do it in the offseason. If you're going to extend a coach and general manager, it's done during the offseason. So, I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay. Let me bring in the Lions hard count. What up, though? You are a first-timer. Says, I think so, just for the fact that now we have some real talent around us, unlike when we first started at first accumulated Jared Goff. Okay, so at what point do you guys think that, and I know we don't know a ton about the Rams, but I used to watch the Rams. Like, if the Rams came on, I would watch them. So, when do you think that we hit the Ram status? Like, we were equal to that Rams team that traded for Matthew Stafford. Falk is a run stuffer with hardly any pass rush protection. How do you feel about Joe is how I feel about Stafford. He's my favorite QB of all time, not just because he played for us, so I support him, except when he played us. Detroit Rams thing is dumb. I give Dan Campbell an excuse just because of what he inherited, but at some point, yeah, he has to realize the talent. But Brad Holmes could also utilize free agency better. Yeah. Big Black Coffee with the super chat says, tweet when you going live, mofo, YouTube trash with the notification. Okay. You know, bro, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing it, Big. I don't like doing it, bro, because the Twitterverse is, it's almost like I'm two different people over there. Twitterverse is something else. It's something else, but yeah. Okay. Where we at here? Okay. I think this year, this coming year, bro, it's now make or break. Let me see. Dan is an ex-football player. He knows a dog. He knows the channel. He knows the channel when he sees it, but he's not willing to disagree with Brad, which leaves him to accept whatever Brad thinks is the right fit. Lions Archon says, hit me up. I seen your short on Woodward. Got my own thing going, but want to pivot. Okay, wait, you mean the one when somebody asked me like what the purpose of the channel was? That one? Hey, hit me. If you follow me on Twitter, hit me up on Twitter or email me and we'll link up for sure. All right, so let's talk about the main event. Because where are we at? How long have we been on? We have been on for 49. I swear, bro. Like, hey, mister. Like, I just started talking, bro. And we've been on for an hour just that quick. All right, so here's the main event. A lot of you guys are wondering what the heck is going on with the title. Flint's Lions fan with the $4.99 super chat says, with the Lions bringing back Levi and Paschal, I don't think Brad will make any moves on the D-line, and they'll have a bottom 10 defense again, and we're screwed. Okay, let me take a sip because we about to get into it. All right. So we'll discuss it a little bit, and then I will make a segment. I also have to make a video on Lions Syndicate because I think it's interesting and enough to put over there. And yeah, man, we're going to get into it. All right. So if you... My bad, bro. My email is in, hold on. Because I'm thinking I'm on Lions Syndicate. All right, let me put it in here. I'm going to tell you what, though, man. Twitter is faster and easier. But if you're not on Twitter, I understand because I'm only on Twitter because of Lions News. That's it. So if that's not something you do, I get it. But that's the faster, easier way. But I will put it in here. Okay. Okay. All right, that's it. All right, there's my email. Because for some reason, I can only check my business email from my computer. I don't know why it's not linked to my email on my phone, but I have to like go to my computer. So I usually only check it once per day, which is at the beginning of the day. I'll check for emails and such. All right. So if you are wondering why is Josh Paschal on the thumbnail? Why does it say that Levi and Josh are returning to the Detroit Lions? Well, I'll tell you why. Because according to how the Lions did, and these are reports that came out about an hour and a half ago to 2 hours ago, because of where the Lions placed them when it came to the list of whether it's PUP versus injured reserve, there's a kind of like a loophole that will allow them to return back to the Detroit Lions. So it's almost like they got a free year, or their year was they call it was tolled. So TOLLED. And it is, so it's almost like last year didn't happen and this year is last year. So that is what is happening. Because we can't afford anything else. I don't have a personal Twitter for doing this. I use it for accumulate. Yeah, that's the only thing, but I comment and post tweets and stuff like that. But if it weren't for Lions News, like I wouldn't even be on it. All right. Braylon says, my final straw will be re-signing Davin Bump. Yeah, I would be. Derek is like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and go, hey, Bond, bro, there was not going to be a show today. Like I was going to tell y'all that I might be off for some time until we let some things happen, because it's not really anything going on. It's not anything higher, anything, our OC is here, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, I might just take a couple of days off or take the week off and come back after the Super Bowl. But, we'll play it day by day. Next year, I'll probably take a legit, break. You know what I'm saying? Like, after the Lions season is over. But it was tough, man. This year was on, it kind of broke me. This year broke me as a Lions fan, man. Coming from the increasingly worse devastation. Nothing was worse than 2023. That was the worst. And then 2024, we had the first seed, and then we lost to a rookie quarterback. And the Washington Commanders were like the 6th seed or something like that, right? And then this year, to watch the team just do nothing and expect to be better, kind of broke me, bro. It broke me in the sense of, if they don't care, why do I? You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Big Black Coffee with another super chat. Says, we could finesse Brian Branch for a final year if he doesn't return next year. Also, he probably won't be back until December anyway. Yeah, you know what? We made a video about Brian Branch, and I want to make sure that I have that segment. Otherwise, I will have to re-record it tomorrow. In the melodic words of D, oh my God. Cue ball, bro, I already showed it, bro. I gave you your props, your praise, and your accolades, bro. But since Cue Ball wants everybody, this is the guy that redesigned the shirt. Cue Ball in the chat, and I gave you your praise, man. I gave you praise. It's in the show. You can go back and see it. But this is the redesign, and I spoke highly of my subscribers and how awesome they are and stuff like that, man, and stuff. So everybody loves it, bro. They absolutely love this shirt. So I will be ordering it, doing a sample, and then I will be going to putting it on sale. Hopefully it'll be on sale before the month is out. It will be a little bit higher price because of the apparently when you put something. If you put something on the shirt, is one price. If you add something to the back, it goes up a little bit. My profit doesn't go up, just so you know. I'm not, it's not what you think. So instead of me paying the cost to make the shirt, well, I do pay the cost, but they take it out of the, so anyway, the profit is not what you think it is. Hey, listen, all of y'all are GOATs. Like, real talk, you guys are GOATs. First of all, you're here in the off season when it ain't nothing going on. That's a true GOAT. And like I said, what I think that it is about me is I'm like the homie. I'm like the homie. I don't have, there's when you watch me, you feel like we homies. You know what I'm saying? And that was the whole point of me making content, is it's like we're watching the game. It's like we homies watching the game. If you came to a watch party, I'm the same person that I am here, I was there, right? So sometimes I was too intense, you know what I mean? So I know people was looking at me like, yo, this, you know what I'm saying? Like, he is, I've had so many people, they meet me and they're like, oh, I get to see this passion in person. I'm like, yeah, man. So then we can have dialogue about what's happening. So yes, it's a cool thing. Hey, cue ball. I will say, bro, if I don't know if you could like play around with the define aggressive and make it in the same. I like this one, but so we can do a little test whenever you got time, bro. Whenever you got time. He was rated one of the highest rookie defensive tackles. Who? Oh, Aleem? You scared about Aleem? Facts makes this one of the best channels Lions content. It's not trying to be an ESPN anchor or players agent vibe. Bro, thank you. So here, look, let me just give you a brief kind of, and we'll get on to the last bit of the show. I saw the future in content before it was a thing. Like, Pat McAfee set the bar for content. And did y'all know Ndamukong Suh has a podcast? Did you know that? Ndamukong Suh has a podcast. It's got a couple thousand subscribers. It's called Lunch Money with Ndamukong Suh or something like that. Everybody has a podcast. And it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, whatever, right? But I saw it because what Pat McAfee showed is that you could be yourself and still be relevant. You can still get attention. You don't have to conform to the like ESPN. So I'm watching, what did I watch? I was watching Pat McAfee, the national championship game between Miami and Indiana. And Pat McAfee and his crew was commentating on ESPN2. And some of the stuff they were saying, I was like, whoa, that's not FCC regulated. I was like, yo. But Pat McAfee made it where it was okay to be yourself in this industry. And what brought him or ESPN to him was his reach, right? And what I love about Pat, I think that he changed, like Pat McAfee in the trailer. When he had the little trailer that he would go into and he would leave out of that trailer when they went on recess or whatever. I think that he's changed from that Pat McAfee. I even went back and watched his first show, you know what I'm saying? And the Pivot podcast or I Am Athlete, right? I Am Athlete, they had a gold mine. Brandon Marshall had a gold mine. His ego messed it up. But what I love about Pat is the fact that he was like, yo, ESPN, this is what we're going to do. Either you like I'm doing fine without you. I don't need you, but you need me. So what we'll do is 2 hours of the show will be Disney Channel. And then the other 2 hours, we're going to do this, right? He decided not to change because Pat can stand on his own without ESPN. And then you see what Cam Newton is doing with the 4th and 1 podcast, right? And I'm not a huge fan of Cam Newton, but this is the future. So anyway, that's where this came from. And that's why I make content even when I don't want to, because I think that my only, not regret, but you have to, you know what I used to say? I used to say, if I would have known what I've known before, then blah, 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 right? I don't say that anymore because you couldn't know what you know now before. It's physically impossible. So take the knowledge that you have and do something with it then, right? So I wish I was younger. I wish I was 36 and not 46, knowing what I know now. But I still have some time to turn this into what I want it to be. And that is a place that rivals, like basically what Woodward Sports is, but better. And that's always been my goal. So that's what this channel is. This channel is about Detroit sports, and we'll eventually get to the point where we're talking about all the teams, and we'll bring in some content creators. Right now, I'm in the recruiting phase. I'm trying to still build up the syndicate because I'm gonna tell y'all what. One more thing, and then we'll get on. I feel like this is my therapy channel, so I'm not gonna say no names. If you know, you know. Okay, if you know, you know. I'm not gonna say no names though, but there is, you'll see channels start to pop up, and they're the same type of, like, Locked On. I don't know if y'all know about Locked On, but Locked On, so the founder of Locked On podcast was the commentator for the Utah Jazz. and wind up building a podcast brand. He sold that podcast brand for $16 million. But that's not who I'm talking about. But you'll see people pop up like there's a new channel, and I really don't want to bring it attention, but I will for this video, is the Digest channel. It'll be like such and such team digest. So there's a Lions digest. There's a, these digest channels. And I'm like, they bring no personality. They just read from an article, right? But here's what I was going to say. Shout out to Charles with the super chat, says, take knowledge, pass on to the next generation. Yeah, that's the plan. Eventually, when I get too old, then I'll probably pass Lions Syndicate down to, a successor. You know what I'm saying? Okay, last thing, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the video, of this live stream. So there's a particular set of creators. I'm not going to say any name. I will say this. I talk about them a lot, but I'm not going to say their names. And they have a phenomenal reach. And I've noticed that they have a bunch of sister channels popping up talking about other teams. And I'm just like, wow, where do they get these guys from? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. They're close to the chest. I'll just put it like that. But you can always tell they're when they have their hands in the video, because they're all the same. And I don't know where they get these guys from. I don't know where they pull. It is so hard for me to find creators that want to be part of this world. Seriously. But it is so, it's crazy. But anyway, so that's my soapbox. We'll get off of it. Hey, Big Back. Hey, absolutely. Kelly, how you doing? How you doing? I lost respect for Pat McAfee when he actually unprofessional, when he acted like a child, when he was turned down by Dan Campbell. Yeah, so outside of like Pat McAfee and everything about him, I was there from the beginning when he was in the little trailer. And that's why I don't watch him now, because to me, he changed as a creator. But I respect the hustle, and I respect the fact that he was one of the first ones that made it cool, because Pat been doing this like for a long time, and everybody else kind of came after him. And like I said, and Dominic and Sue, everyone has a podcast now. So, and I mean, look at Gilbert Arenas and look at Cam. Like Cam Newton's, his playing career is long over. He knows that. But 4th and 1 has added, like he was Cam Newton and he was making videos over there, and then he just ditched that pretty much, and now it's 4th and 1. Then he went on the studio and all of that stuff. So, that's what I'm saying. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. All right. So let's get into, hey, Lupe. That would be awesome. It would be awesome. I would 100% do that. 100%, because what YouTube has now, and they didn't have this at first, is they will have AI generated voice that's built in to content now. So before, you would have to hire somebody to auto dub your videos, and you could hire somebody to, and for a while I was thinking about doing that. It was going to be like Lion Syndicate in Spanish, right? And I was going to hire somebody to do that, to dub my videos. But now YouTube will do it on its own in select languages, but it's robotic. It's AI, and I'm sure it'll get better. But there's nothing like the human touch, bro. So I would never, ever discourage anybody from making content about the Detroit Lions. You know what I'm saying? Ever. So if you want to do that, man, do it. Anybody else want to, whatever you do, love what you're doing and be consistent. Those are the two things you need to do. All right. So let's get into it, and we'll wrap up the show. Thank you guys for listening for that. All right, so let's get into it, man. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me pull this up so I can let me exit out that. Let me bring in the, okay, where's my, all right. I want to make sure I have this pulled up. Okay. All right. So I'll say this as well, is when I try to bring in Lions news, my first go-to is Detroit Lions on SI, because John rocks with me. So I would do my best to promote his stuff over Pride of Detroit or Justin Rogers or any of those guys, because John acknowledges me, he respects me, and I respect him. So anything I can bring in from Detroit Lions SI, I will do that first. John has actually had me on the show a year ago. He had me on his show, and he's connected to Sports Illustrated, and still takes the time to, kick it with us common folks. So us regular, non-educated, as far as we don't have degrees in journalism or anything like that. So you can tell that John came from being a fan and went to the next level. All right. So let's talk about it. Derek, do some scouting on edge. Kendrick Falk out of Auburn when you can. Okay. All right. What up, Walter? Walter, what up, though, bro? What's good with you? Bro? Wow, man. Wow. Good to see you, my friend. Yes. Doc told he wants to come on. Yeah, so with my show, I am trying to get, all right, so I told you guys what I use. What's happening is my software is talking to my mixer, and it's putting sound back into the software, and it's only echoing on the caller. So I'm trying to figure that out, and I've been working on it day in and day out, trying to figure out this one thing. It did not happen with my old mixer, but it happens with this one. And I know it's something very easy. I've reached out to the software provider, the mixer provider, and it's the same thing. Nobody has an answer for me. So if I ever figure it out, I might have to just like randomly make a video on a different channel and be like, look, this is how you fix this. So once I get that fixed, then we're going to bring on guests. That's what we're going to do. Thank you, David. Thank you. All right, let's get into it. So the Detroit Lions, their D-line is ravaged, and it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it depends on how you look at it. We just got word earlier today, that 2 Detroit Lions, first it was 1, and then it turned out to be 2 Detroit Lions via a stipulation in the CBA, are going to be able to return to the Detroit Lions. That is Josh Paschal and Levi Onwuzurike. Both of these individuals were under contract for last year. Levi had finished his initial rookie contract at the end of 2024. We signed him to a 1-year deal. I think it was about $4 million or so. He wasn't able to play, and we put him on the PUP list. Then a little while later, turns out that Josh Paschal is dealing with something. We find out that he's not going to be able to play. So neither one of these gentlemen took a snap in 2025. Levi, his 1-year deal had expired, or so we thought, and Josh is on the last year of his rookie deal. Well, due to that stipulation in the CBA, these 2 individuals will be returning to the Detroit Lions in 2026. And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It's great if you look at a depth piece and the fact that now we don't have to make a decision, but at the same time, maybe we should. Maybe a decision should have been made and needed to be made, because these 2 guys are now going to take up roster spots, and we don't know what they have. Josh has been, when he's on, he's on. When he's out there, then he can be great. But I don't have faith in either one of these gentlemen. I don't. They either can't stay healthy. I don't know if either one of them has played an entire season. I would have to look and see. But here is what Detroit Lions SI has to say. It says Detroit Lions defensive lineman Levi. Oh, John got a typo. John, see, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one, man. Okay. Let me see who wrote this. Who wrote this? Did John write this? He did. Y'all need to let John know. This is so unprofessional. No, I'm just messing with you. John is the homie. But this reminds me of me. Josh Paschal will actually be under contract for the upcoming 2026 NFL season. Says provisions in the collective bargaining agreement allow for contracts to, quote, toe into the next season. If a player is in the final year of his contract but ends up on the physically unable to perform list. Now, this tells you that the Detroit Lions knew exactly what they were doing. This is not a rule that they stumbled across. They knew what they were doing when they put them on this specific contract. So we're going to read this, and this is the language of the contract. Article 20, Section 2 is a provision in the CBA that states any player placed on physically unable to perform list, which is the PUP, will be paid its full paragraph 5 salary while on such list. His contract will not be told for the period he is on PUP, except in the last year of his contract, which is what both of these gentlemen were on. So if you follow it, if they weren't on the last year, it wouldn't be told over. When the player's contract will be told if he is still physically unable to perform his football services as of the 6th regular season game, and I, if he's not reinstated to the club's active roster or inactive list during that regular season or postseason. For the avoidance of doubt, if the player returns to practice but is never reinstated to the club's inactive list during that regular season or postseason, his contract will toll. So, boils down to this. Both of these guys were placed on this list. Both of them meet the criteria for their contracts to be rolled over. Now, initially, it was just thought it was Levi, but then I don't know who's responsible for bringing this up or finding this, but it is going to be where both of these guys are basically what their last years are going to be this year. Now, I did read somewhere earlier that Levi was making $4 million for 2025. Now he will make the vet minimum or something like that, or he will make a significantly lower amount for 2026. But now, so the Detroit Lions have two pieces that they were going to have to make a decision on. So now that decision, I don't know if they can, I'm pretty sure they can still be cut. He can still be cut if he, it just means that they're not free agents is what this means, because Paschal and Levi were supposed to be free agents for the Detroit Lions. And what this means is that they're not. But the Lions could still make decisions, I assume, to cut them. I don't see that there's anywhere in there that is not going to, that alludes to the fact that they can't be cut. So here's the question I have for you. How does this make you feel? Are you excited? Are you like, okay, well, those are two depth pieces that we don't have to worry about? Or are you like, let's cut our losses and release both of them? Create some roster space for somebody that can make a consistent impact, because neither one of these guys can. If you talk about misses in Brad Holmes' draft and free agency, I think one of the biggest ones, the absolute take the cake, is Broderick Martin, and we've discussed in great detail why. But I think a runner-up has to be, it's got to be a tie. It's got to be a tie between Paschal and Levi, right? Because Paschal was part of the trade-up for Jameson Williams. He was part of the package that we got from the now fired Minnesota Viking general manager. When we came up to get Jameson Williams, Josh Paschal was part of that trade. Somebody we could have used. J-Mo has panned out. Josh has not. So we have to rebuild this defensive line. And now we got essentially like two players that we don't have to make a decision on theoretically, but we still could. This gives me no excitement at all, because even if they play, I don't think they make much of an impact. I don't. I'm not excited about this at all. It's a great, as far as bodies, we're trying to compete for a Super Bowl. But the bodies point of the season is after the trade deadline, where you're just looking for bodies that, and hopefully those bodies can make an impact. But these two gentlemen right here, not excited at all. Wondering if the Lions are going to keep them on the roster. And do you think that they are a waste of a roster spot? It was funny because when it comes to these two gentlemen, I was on the fence about Levi, because Brad has kind of a pattern. And that pattern is, typically, if you get hurt, you're on the last year of your deal, and you don't get an opportunity to prove your worth in that year, he'll bring you back. He did it with Emmanuel Mosley. He did it with Marcus Davenport. He's done it time and time again. So Levi, I wasn't sure what they were going to do. Josh Paschal, there was no doubt in my mind that he was coming back. And now he doesn't even have to come back because he never left. So we wind up being right about the people that we were going to bring back. So I guess there's still a way that the Lions can decide to move on from both these guys, but they're not free agents yet, as they would have been. Levi was already a free agent. We re-signed him. Paschal was on his way. His rookie contract is over. And now they're both on the team. Do I think they stay on the Detroit Lions? 100% they do. Because before we start signing people to future reserve contracts, we had 5 defensive linemen under contract. 5. Now this gives us another 2. And these 2 players are going to be depth pieces. We still have a lot of work to do. I think they both stay. And I think the Lions knew exactly what they were doing when they put them on the list. When they and it's funny because Dan Campbell knew this when he was asked about Paschal. Of course, he's not going to give you the ins and outs, but they knew this when they put them on it. This was a way for the Lions to retain their services next year without having to make a decision. But you know what? You guys thought you were going to another team? No, sir. You guys are going to be Detroit Lions in 2026. I have zero excitement about this at all. None. And I hope that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell knock the front 4 out of the park. And I'm talking about obliterated, because we need to win with the starting front 4, or we probably won't go anywhere. And this is without Marcus Davenport. And now he's pretty much the only one left that the Lions have to make a decision back about bringing him back. So I don't know, but that's the latest, that because of a CBA loophole, not really a loophole, but the way that the CBA is done, that these players are going to wind up being back on the Detroit Lions. They will not be free agents because of how the CBA is termed. So let me know, how does this make you feel? Are you excited? Are you like, bruh, what is your thoughts? This does nothing for me, except it gives me a little cause for concern, because even when he wasn't trying, he gets a bargain deal again. And what this was a future bargain deal for Brad Holmes. So these 2 guys will not be cut, because if they were going to be cut, they would have never put them on the PUP. And it's specifically the PUP list. It's not injured reserve. If they go there, I think it's a little different. So it's specifically the list that they were put on as to why this is the case. So everything was done intentionally with the idea of bringing these guys back. So when Brad is asked about the pass rush, I mean, so this gives me cause for concern. It really does, because Brad has not moved the needle, and he probably won't do it this draft. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. All right. So did y'all hear that Raheem Morris is the new defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers? You know what, y'all? I just don't know. Hey, Lions, bro, your tweet had me rolling. It had me rolling. I didn't get a chance to respond, but it had me dying, bro. How do we feel? How do we'll I just, I'm saying to myself, oh, I need to bring in my man's voicemail. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, I just don't know how much better the Lions want to get. And I think that, and I said this before, by May 1st of this year, I'll know if I'll know all there is to know. Just think about this. Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have essentially 1 year. They have, where we at? Okay, February 2nd. So February, March, April, May. They have 4 months to save their jobs. I truly believe that. They got 4 months to save, because if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, if they miss like they've been missing, and this is why the Levi and Josh retaining them is so big, because if they fail this season, this could be it. I believe not that they're going to be fired this season, but I think this is the season. This is the season they set up for the future. This is either they're going to have a future with the Detroit Lions or they're not. And so for me, I know what I want to see. I need to see a Super Bowl. I need to see a I can't see anything less than that. That's what I need to see. No division title. I don't know. I need to see dramatic improvement. I need to see dominance. I need to see. There's a lot of things that I need to see. Because if the Lions wind up with a ton of people injured, I'm going to wonder why. Why is everybody so injured again, right? If we get eliminated in the first round or we don't make the playoffs, that's going to be a big red flag. And I just don't know if I'm Sheila, if I continue to support this regime with anything less than a Super Bowl appearance. I just don't know. But I will say that who knows? What if, okay, Sheila's not doing this, but what if somebody else? What if Chris Spielman, as quiet as it's kept, Chris Spielman, part of that Detroit Lions team, played with Barry Sanders, Herman Moore, all of those guys, right? What if he is secretly like, I'm watching. He's secretly like, don't worry, Sheila, I got my eyes on. I'm watching them. Like, I am, they don't know I'm watching them, but I'm watching both of these guys. I'm watching both of these guys. And this is what they need to do. I will come back and report to you if I like it. I like it. And if Chris Spielman comes and he says, hey, I don't know, I don't like what they did, blah, blah, blah. And this is what I expect this season will be. You know how like people predicted we weren't going to make the playoffs? We predicted that we didn't get any better. And everybody saw it but the people that are running this team. So what if Chris Spielman is sitting back like, don't worry, Sheila, I got you. And I'll tell you everything you need to know after year 6. Because I'm going to ask y'all, what? Like, if you think about it, here's a great segment. Let's have this segment and we'll get off the. See, every time I'm ready to wrap up the show, I think of something else. We just found out that Les Snead and Sean McVay have been extended. I don't know what their current contract was. I don't know the details of the extension, but they're going to be general manager and coach of the LA Rams for quite some time. The Detroit Lions found their guys, extended their guys 2 years ago, and now those same guys are going into year 6 of their time as Detroit Lions head coach and general manager. Brad Holmes is on the first year of his new money. Dan Campbell is on the last year of his old. But here's the question that I have. If the Lions don't reach a Super Bowl after year 6, how much longer do we need to know if this regime is the regime? Stay with me here. These are all legit questions. There ain't no hate. It ain't no hate toward Brad. It ain't no hate toward Dan. It's a legit question. How long will it take us to realize, or Sheila, or whoever else is in charge of making these football decisions, to realize if this regime is the regime? How long would it take you? For me, I need to see drastic improvement. I'm talking about dramatic improvement. I need to see dominance from my team. I need our defense to be better. I need Dan Campbell to start taking the points. I need to see aggression from my football team when it comes to trade deadline moves and free agent signings. I need to see hits more than misses, okay? If you do all those things and you still don't make a Super Bowl, it might be some light at the end of the tunnel. If you make a Super Bowl, you done broke open the cave. Now I'm putting down more track for you so we can go further. But if you miss the Super Bowl and you haven't moved the needle, see, that's the Lions' problem. They have not moved the needle in any fashion the whole time that they've been part of this in charge. They have not moved the needle. They have not done, when I say move the needle, I mean like go from half to full. They have not pressed. Okay, so you get Aiden Hutchinson. You get Jamison Williams. You get Jahmyr Gibbs. You get Jack Campbell. You get Sam Laporta. You get Brian Branch. You get those guys. In free agency, not really. The best that they do is lateral. They will do a lateral move, or they'll go down, right? Marcus Davenport, not needle moving. DJ Reader, not needle moving. You have DJ Reed, not needle moving. And if they do something that even remotely moves the needle, they cut the guy. Because, see, what you got to understand is that people who move the needle, they cost money. They cost money. That's what they do. There's a great segment from SNL. They haven't done it in years. It's called What's Up With That? And there's a segment, one of the best segments, is Samuel Jackson is on the segment, and Saturday Night Live is live, for those who don't know. But you have, of course, on network television, the 5-second delay to bleep out curse words, nudity, whatever the situation. Sam Jackson says a bad word, which was scripted. I just found out. Then he says another one, which was unscripted. And the What's Up With That character, DeAndre Cole, says, "Come on, Sam. That costs money." He was referring to the FCC. You have to move the needle. Moving the needle costs money, right? If Brad and Dan don't move the needle, then how do we expect us to compete with people who do, with teams that do, right? Other teams take risk that the Detroit Lions don't take. And I think that we've seen the results of that. And then the risk that we do take are more like, why? They're more like question marks. Why did we take this risk? What made us? You have scouts whose main job is to scout a player or players and come back to the Detroit Lions and let them know, this is what we saw. Who scouted Broderick Martin? Who did that? What group of people is responsible for scouting Broderick Martin, reporting back to Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and saying, listen, I don't know, this guy is worth trading up for, moving up 26 spots to get him, and he never panned out. Like, who's responsible for that? So those are the risks that the Detroit Lions can no longer afford, which is why we were so enamored about getting the right OC. And maybe Drew is the right OC, but we wind up getting 2 OCs, 29 or 2 for 50. So we got, instead of 1 OC for 29, we got 2 for 50. So now we have to continue to push and move the needle. And if we don't do that, then how can we expect to push against these teams that are going to push back? One of the worst things that I've seen is Big Black with the super chat says, if we make it to the NFC title game, do we extend them? Thank you, sir, for the 50. I appreciate that. Goes to the production value of the streams. If we make it to the NFC title game, do we extend them? For me personally, I have to say it depends on how we lose it. For me, it's the Super Bowl. That is the lowest that I go. I don't care about the NFC North. I don't care about what seed we are. I care about getting to the Super Bowl. So if we were to get there and that's it, it really depends on what happens after that. Why do we lose that game? Do we lose that game for reasons that we saw that were very clear in the offseason? For instance, let me take you back to 2023. I, myself, am screaming to the heavens, Bradley Mathias, Jerome Cornelius, Leonardo DiCaprio Holmes, please, if you care about this team, draft a pass rusher, sign a pass rusher in free agency. Because you know what? We are that close, potentially even one player away. You know what he does? He drafts Broderick Martin. In free agency, he does absolutely nothing to help Aiden Hutchinson. We're going into the season with Romeo Okwara. Romeo Okwara. I think Romeo's career year, it might have been 10. It might have been 10 and a half. But Romeo Okwara, we're right there, Brad. And then the season goes on. In my opinion, you can put the loss on a lot of things. And it was a collective effort. It really was. But if we lose because there was a glaring need in the offseason that was obviously ignored or not properly cared for, then that is going to seal their fate. We're going into the 2025 offseason, and the entire world is saying the Detroit Lions are going to miss the playoffs. Here's why. They were saying they lost their OC, their DC, and then after that, it was, what have they done to evolve this team? What have they done to keep this team competitive? What did they do? Re-sign Marcus Davenport? You lose Carlton Davis III, and you sign DJ Reader. If you think about it, that's all we did in free agency. Then we get to the draft, and we are very, very lackluster draft. The draft of 2024, they're not really panning out. They're not panning out. Our starting quarterback is OPI for days, right? In year 2. Why could they predict that we were going to miss the playoffs? Because the teams around us were getting better. The Chicago Bears win the division, and we beat them twice in the season, and they won the division. They also had a last place schedule, which to me is only 3 teams. That's the only difference. And it's a big deal because we had first place teams, they had last place teams. Next year we get the last place teams, and they get the first place. So instead of playing the Chiefs and others, they played the last place teams. If we would have played the Raiders, we would probably be in the playoffs. So for me, what will it take for Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell to get an extension is bare minimum for me is a Super Bowl, or it better be a really, really good reason we didn't make it. I'm talking about something that they could not control. A 75-yard field goal as time expires. Something bounces off some miraculous foot catch or something like that. Because you had your opportunity to make this team better, and you choose to stay lateral or regress while teams around you are progressing. That is a problem. So that's where I'm at. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Man, shout out to Big Black, bro. Big Black just bought y'all some more time. Some more time, which is great because we need to bring in the voicemail of the big homie. DeQuan says, low-key, this is stressing. This is stressing. We've been yapping about the same thing for 3 years, and now ain't nothing changed. Brett is not going to get a big-name guy. Look for and inspect dollar players. Well, DeQuan, bro, you have been, and wait a minute, DeQuan, have you had a little bit of a change of heart? Like, are you a little bit on, like, have you changed a little bit, brother? Because the fact that Josh and Levi were put on this specific list lets you know that Brad and Dan knew exactly what they were doing when they did it. They knew that. They knew that they were going to be around next year. Charles with the super chat says, saw this movie before, lots of money with no results. Charles with another super chat says, remember Stafford, Megatron, and Sue. Lions Live with the super chat 199 didn't say nothing. Come on, bro. I think you can. I think 99 cent. You can't say anything. Look, YouTube has it like that. That's not what I do. I don't even know how super chats work. Like, I send some, and I know that they give you a character limit, like 150 or something like that. What's up? Loyal to the logo says, and they're still not taking the defensive side of the ball seriously. Yeah, man. Somebody tell me why we haven't looked for a new DC. Wait a minute. Lions. Wait a minute, bro. Am I misunderstanding you? Bro? Because I thought you was pro Shepard. And I'm not even being sarcastic, bro. I thought you were like more of a scheme guy. So Are you not, or am I misunderstanding your comment? Scorpion says, maybe we can get back to under 500 when this franchise has spent 2 to 3, 2/3 of 60 years of the Super Bowl era. I know I messed that all up. We traded picks for Vaki. Let's not forget. Hey, studios, I ain't forget nothing, bro. I'm like Petrus Farms. I don't forget nothing. Trinity Benson, Broderick Martin. I don't forget nothing, bro. Especially with Matthias. Of course, they're both going to return. Did you expect something different? Trucking, what are we talking about, bro? Week Martindale, Jim Schwartz, Jonathan Gannon. We need to be in the mix. Yeah, so apparently something happened with Jim. Let me hook up this audio real quick, though. We ain't good, but we still good. Man, when I make the track, it's gonna be fire, bro. Shout out to Usher, man. Maybe we can do a duet. Hey, you know me and Usher around the same age? I think he like a twinge older. Like literally the same year. We still good. So here, look, here's some too much information, right? All right. So this is TMI. So I've always listened to music in the shower, right? So my wife finds a speaker, and this speaker is waterproof. She's like, you be having concerts in the shower. So I used to play music from my phone. I set my phone on the counter, turn it up, or I would take my phone. We got a shower caddy. And I would take my phone and turn it upside down because the speaker's on the bottom, and I would have it in the shower. So it'd be up high so it wouldn't get wet. But iPhones can get wet and still work or whatever. So she buys a JBL speaker, and this thing is waterproof for up to like 30 meters or something like that underwater. So it charges by a USB-C, and you can put it under, like you could drop it in the water so you can have it around the pool. So if this song plays and I'm in the shower, I instantly think of my version. Like, I don't even, like Usher, I hear Usher, but I think about mine. So that's the too much information. All right. All right, let me bring in. So my point is, you would never listen to this song again the same, ever. All right, so we got a message that they want me to read or bring in. So let's do it. Here is the big homie.
Yo, what up, though, Derek? This family once again calling in. Crazy take for you, man. What if Sheila what if there is tension between Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell? And because of that, that's why we got two offensive coordinators. And what Sheila is doing is determining who gets fired depending on who chose whom. Now, 97.1, I know that you don't really listen to their channel too much, but I know that you didn't watch some of the clips and stuff. They were saying something about Brad Holmes bringing up Drew Petzing, and that's why they keep bringing him, like that's why his name is going around media so much right now, is because that's Brad Holmes' pick. Now, if Kafka is Dan Campbell's pick, let's see what happens. What you think, man? Let me know. I'm tuning in to.
Yo. Okay, so look, Ryan, you never was rinsed on this channel, bro. You were rinsed on you rinsed on Lion Syndicate. Yo. The caller ended up being a lot more interesting than I thought. Yo, okay. All right. Well, since we still got Big Black Super Chat on, we'll be on until that's off. Let's do it. Let's do it. So you know what? You know what? Hey, Reg, on Twitter, bro, they come at you with pitchforks. Twitter is crazy. If you say anything about the Lions that's not, 100% positive, they are on your head. And it's weird, man, because people, it's weird. So I do stuff on purpose. Like I do stuff. I'm not a troll, but I'm like, yo, I don't care. I don't get paid from Twitter like that. I think the biggest payment I got was last quarter. Like you got to reach a certain amount of money and they pay you like every 2 months and it was like $40. So I was like, yay, $40. You know what I'm saying? So I just checked my account and it was like $40 extra. I'm like, what is this? And it said Twitter. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll take that. Okay. So that is a great question. That's a great question. This is why I didn't like Brad Holmes not hiring his own coach. Yeah, Riot. You look. I don't think you've ever been over here, bro. I don't think. I could be wrong, but I know you are on Syndicate. I don't, or maybe you're on a different channel. I don't know, but I didn't remove you. I didn't remove your moderation, so that's not a thing. But so check your channels, man. All right, let's get into it. D-Nice says that dude is a trash coach. He did the same thing with Buffalo next season. He had top 5 talent and played like mid-tier. I think we're thinking way too deep into Sheila. I doubt she's doing anything besides listening to her advisors. Okay, Ryan. Well, I think before you got here, bro, I brought up her advisors. And if Chris Spielman is one of them, what if Chris is like, yo, I'm going to watch these guys this year. And I'll let you know what I really think of them after this year. So I did bring that up. All right, so let's do it, man. Oh, man. Yo, this is you believe it or not, man, this is tough. This is tough. Oh my God. It's tough because every time I make a segment that's a video and I try to release the videos and, I try to stagger them. And I will post them based on relevance or potential expiration, right? Because if you, like I had some I had to delete because they were about coordinators and I didn't get a chance to release them and now they're irrelevant. And then I had some that I recorded that I never released and they were like from earlier in January. So I was like, okay, that's too far. So I had to delete them. But man, this stuff is tough, man, because after this is over, after I'm done here, I have to probably talk about Josh Paschal and Levi on Lion Syndicate. And then I got to release videos. I got to schedule some videos to come out. Oh, man. Whew. It's tough. You would think it's easy. It's not. It's not. It might not be like labor intensive, but it ain't easy being a one-man show. It's really not. That's why it was great when Nick was active. It was great. So, man, it's tiresome. And then, yeah. All right. So let's get into it. This is going to be a first. I've been meaning to do this, so I'm glad that it's happening today because I've been meaning to, the segments are going to be like, we're going to bring in a guest. Like I'm going to have a guest come in on the show. And it'll be like a YouTuber or, maybe a viewer bring in and come in. So, okay, let's get into this. This is going to be the first segment. I've been meaning to do these, and now we got the perfect time. So let's get into it. All right, so this is a segment that I've been kind of launching for a minute now, and now is the perfect time to do it. It's the off season of 2026, and we've got some new stuff that we're trying to bring to the channel. And this is something that I think is very interesting, something that we briefly touched on earlier in the show. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a caller. Caller had a spicy take, and we're going to listen to that take and react to it. Let's hear what the caller has to say.
Yo, what up, though, Derek? This family once again calling in. Crazy take for you, man. What if Sheila had what if there is tension between Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell? And because of that, that's why we got two offensive coordinators. And what Sheila is doing is determining who gets fired depending on who chose whom. Now, 97.1, I know that you don't really listen to their channel too much, but I know that you didn't watch some of the clips and stuff. They were saying something about Brad Holmes bringing up Drew Petzing, and they keep bringing him, like that's why his name is going around media so much right now, is because that's Brad Holmes' pick. Now, if Kafka is Dan Campbell's pick, let's see what happens. What you think, man? Let me know.
All right. Shout out to the caller, Family Wealth. So if I'm understanding correctly, it is being said, potentially, that Drew Petzing was a Brad Holmes hire and Mike Kafka was Dan Campbell's guy, and that Sheila could determine who is the guy that it will wind up on the outside looking in based on how these two gentlemen do. That's intense. That's intense. I will say that I don't completely disagree with that. And here's why. Because what we did last week, the past 2 weeks with the OC search has been weird to say the least. So we bring in a guy at Drew Petzing. Out of nowhere, name is not on any interview list. We didn't even know he was getting interviewed. Now, it is not their responsibility to let us know that, but they had done it. David Blau, the Seattle Seahawks passing game coordinator. You have Mike McDaniel. You have guys, everyone that we're bringing in, or a lot of them, is known. They make it known to the public that we're going to interview these guys. All of a sudden, we hire a guy. We don't even know that he's being interviewed, had been interviewed. All we find out is that he'd been hired. And it was a guy that, let's be honest, was on nobody's radar. No one was talking about him as OC of the Detroit Lions. Then it comes out that Brad Holmes states, and this is when this stuff gets intriguing, bro. And I don't like make this stuff up, but I start going deep down the rabbit hole. So then we hear last week that we bring in Mike Kafka. And it's weird. Why would you bring in a second OC? And we also interviewed for Kafka. Kafka interviewed. That was publicly known. We knew that. But what we didn't know is that Drew Petzing was being interviewed, but he gets the job. A week later, the Lions hire a second OC in a undisclosed it was a high-ranking official role on offense. We don't even know still a week later what that role is. We just hire, what we know is we have two OCs, two guys that used to be offensive coordinators in 2025 for different teams are now, one is the OC of the Detroit Lions, and the other one is a high-ranking staff role on offense. That's a weird, no title, so I think they generated a position for Mike Kafka. That's why this could make sense. That's why I don't completely disagree with it, because it has a lot of, if you start to look, it's very weird. It's like, why would we do this a week apart from each other, right? So now let's go to what Brad Holmes said a week ago. After we found out that the Detroit Lions interviewed Dave Burkett, caught up with Brad Holmes at the Senior Bowl, wherever it was, and Brad Holmes said that they interviewed 10 candidates. Everybody it was great interviews. They had a lot of great candidates, and that the Lions decided he said, we just went with our gut on the hiring of Drew Petzing, which you guys know I had an absolute fit about. You're building my team off a gut feeling, not who's the best candidate. You said he checked all the boxes, but at the end of the day, you went with the gut. That's what made the difference. You went with the gut. So maybe, and the fact that these words came from Brad Holmes about the gut, that also adds to the potential of maybe there is a little bit of something going on, because I think that we found out that the general manager and the coach of the Minnesota Vikings, tension was starting to arise. And who was the odd man out? Kwesi. He is now in the unemployment line, right? So what happens? Like, I just don't understand why there's two offensive coordinators. And that's why I think that this could make sense. This could make sense. But I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Because hiring two offensive coordinators, to me, is, especially for our team, is kind of just, the whole sequence is weird. We interview Kafka, that's known. We interview and hire Drew Petzing, that's unknown. Knew nothing about it. Right? A week after that, we bring in Mike Kafka. And even if you go back, y'all, and maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's nothing. But it also could be something. If you go back to the end of the season for the Detroit Lions and how Dan Campbell started off the wave of this evolve wave. He said, we have to get better. Me and Brad have to look into things and we have to get better. A couple days later, then Dan Campbell comes out and almost mimics Dan's speech to the word. It was so similar that Brad had to say, I'm not copying Dan. He had to literally say that. It's in the text. You can go look it up. So then Sheila comes out with the letter to fans and says, we have to evolve. So all three of them has used this word evolve, right? And then we hire two OCs. Now you can say, okay, well, what if we would have done that on the defensive side of the ball? I could kind of understand a little bit, like, okay, like Calvin Shepard. Calvin Shepard is in year 2 of being a defensive coordinator. He could use some guidance. He could use somebody who's done it before and been like, yo, let me help you out. Let me kind of show you the way. Let me give you some assistance, right? But we've got a guy that's been an OC, another guy that's been an OC, and we bring both of them in. I wouldn't put it past that it's some type of competition. I wouldn't put it back, because to me, it just doesn't make sense. Now to you, it could. To me, it doesn't. It didn't make sense from the very beginning. The Drew Petzing hire didn't make sense. It just didn't. It didn't. So those are my thoughts. That is a great question from the caller. We'll be doing more of that. If you want to call in and leave your take, then that will be the pinned comment on this video. You can leave a voice message and you may be featured in a video. Thank you, caller. I appreciate you, Wealth. All right. So Dan has lost so many games by himself. This great coach talk is nonsense. Well, Lions, you know what, bro? I think that you might be the first person I bring on whenever I get the system together. Because one, I want to support Lions creators, those that I actually do get along with. So I want to support you guys and the next wave, the up and coming guys. And also I want to really get your take, in like vocal form where we can have a live back and forth. But at the bottom line is this, man. Both of these guys need improvement. They need to improve. And I think that if I had to make a choice based on what we've seen and what I think Sheila would do, I think that Brad right now is the odd man out. I just totally, because, and it might be unfair, but I think here's why. Okay. Not that Brad has to, because how many general managers do you see out and about, right? But Coach was just at a Michigan State game. Coach at the Pistons games, at the Red Wings games. He's out and about. You don't ever see Brad out and about. Now, I understand that Brad, he's locked in. He has to be the guy that makes his team better. That's all he's trying to do all the time. So this is his time to shine. So he can't be, if he was out, we'd probably be talking about him too. Well, I would. So, but I think if you look at the totality of based off, I think that a lot more Lions fans would be completely beside themselves if Dan Campbell was fired. If Dan Campbell was fired and Brad Holmes was retained, I think it would be a much more harsh response than the other way around. It would be equal to, it would be greater than when we fired Jim Caldwell. Because firing Jim Caldwell was, a lot of the players were like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I remember saying like, yo, we got a winning coach. And that was unheard of, in my opinion, is to fire a winning coach was unheard of. So, like, what are we doing? So, I don't know, man. I think they both have work to do. I think they both have a responsibility to this team. And, but I do believe that one of the players is going to be held a lot more responsible than the other. That's just what I think. What up, Rich? How you doing, man? D-Nice says, are you saying the Lions are in these situations when you have two QBs, you really don't have one? They have two OCs, so they really don't have one. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, what is the point? What is the point? Like, you have an experienced offensive coordinator. You interviewed another one. And I think what really is kind of shocking to me, and this is the part that not only the hiring of two OCs, but the fact that it might not be a big deal, but to me, it is. Why didn't we know about Drew? I mean, we knew about David Blau, of all people. Who has never been an OC. So the fact, and I know that this, again, it might be nothing, but to me, this stuff matters because of how the media machine works and all this. So why didn't a source leak the fact that we were interviewing Drew Petzing? We did not even know he was being interviewed. We found out he was hired. You know what that sounds like to me? And again, I could be reading into it. I could be creating something out of nothing. That sounds like, to me, a situation where maybe it was some, I'm not necessarily going to get your approval. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But again, I will say this. Don't ignore what you see and what you think you see. Don't ignore that. Could it be something? Perhaps. Could it be nothing? Perhaps. But don't ignore it. Because when you strip everything away, we don't have to know the inside organization to know if there's tension, to know if something is there. For instance, the Lions made very minimal moves in free agency in the draft, and look what happened, right? I think it's very odd that we don't know anything about Drew Petzing until he's hired. That is a very odd thing to me. And what makes it really odd is, like I said before, the first candidate that was made known, and maybe there's some guys we don't know about because I didn't go through and count everyone, but we know about David Blau, but we don't, who is not an experienced offensive coordinator. We know about him, but a guy coming off an OC job the year before, we know nothing about this guy until I wake up and the Detroit Lions have hired Drew Petzing as their new offensive coordinator. Why? Why did we not know? Where the heck did this come from? Then a week later, we hire a second OC in a role that has no title. That is very odd to me. That whole sequence is odd because typically that's not how the NFL machine works. It is this source said that source. It's how the NFL stays relevant even when there's no football, right? How do you think the NFL stays relevant for 365 days? I mean, June is the only time between June 15th and like July 15th. That's the only time there's like, okay, now we got to dig in the archives and find something to talk about. So this is my opinion. I have no source. There's no facts. There's nothing to any of this. I just think it's very odd that we did not know about Drew. We essentially hire a second OC. And also, and something else that stands out to me is the fact that, and I know again it's probably nothing, is the fact that Brad had to say that he wasn't copying Dan. Now think about this. And of course I could be reading into this, but you have two gentlemen that's on the same page. They've been locked at the hip. They've been same brain. I like this guy. Oh, you know what? I was thinking about the same thing. You know what I'm saying? They do the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers hand embrace. Like that's what we've been known for this team to do. And then Brad Holmes has to come out and say, I'm not copying Dan. When you could have said, hey, Dan and I are on the same page about getting the team better. But instead I'm not trying to copy Dan Campbell. I thought y'all was the same. So I don't know, bro. It's very weird. And again, this could be nothing. It could be something. We shall find out soon enough. But watching it back on playback, let me know what you guys think. So if Dan doesn't pick his own staff, what does he do? He can't call plays. He's losing games on fourth down, practice habitual hurting players or people. Why he here? It's a good question, bro. That's a good question. That might be a great video topic, Lions. Jamie says it's simple. Petzing will fix the running game, and tight end Kafka will be over the passing game. Okay. All right. Jamie, that's not simple to me, bro. That's dumb. That's just dumb to me. That's dumb. Why would you hire an OC? Why not get an OC that's good at both? Like, I don't understand that. Why not? Why? So you said it's simple. To me, that's complicated. That's complicated. So you're going to hire two OCs. For what? Like, who does that? Who does that? So that's like hiring a defensive coordinator to be, you know what? We're going to hire a defensive line coordinator, and then we're going to hire a secondary coordinator. And you know what? Let's hire a linebacker coordinator as well. So to me, why hire two when you can get the right one? Or maybe one was not the right one. That to me is dumb. And I'm not talking about you, bro. That is stupid. That's dumb to me. Take your time. Find the right guy. You going to find a guy that's good at the run, but he leaves a lot desired for the pass. I mean, Dan Campbell was better than that. I don't know why we stopped running David Montgomery. That doesn't make sense to me, bro. Doesn't make sense. Hire the right guy. How many times does an NFL team hire multiple OCs for one offense? Like, that's crazy to me. Nobody was talking about that when Ben Johnson was here. Nobody is saying that about any other, at least unless I'm missing something. Is anybody saying that about any other defensive or offensive coordinator? That, you know what? The Lions, they needed two OCs. That, to me, that's just ridiculous. That's not your ridiculous. That logic is ridiculous. Unless we actually interview people unlike last year. That is true. You see, they didn't bring in anybody to help Shepard, which is just, to me, it's crazy. It's crazy. The Lions got so much faith, and that's what upsets me about how this regime is moving. And at the beginning, it wasn't upsetting. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to build things, but we've already been built. You know how many people would have probably, now there might have been some guys that didn't want to come. You know, maybe Morris didn't want to come. Maybe Saleh didn't want to come. They wanted to be head coaches. One is, one isn't. You know, I get that. But I mean, to say there was nobody better than Calvin Shepard, and then our defense is like it didn't get any better overall. I mean, at the beginning we came out hot, but then we literally cooled off. We literally cooled off, man. Anyway, y'all, that's my time. Appreciate y'all. From no show to a 2-hour show. Unbelievable, bro. But listen, that's all because of y'all. Y'all kept this show where it was, and the fact that we were able to go so long. So I appreciate everybody. Derek, can you do a T-shirt that you got right? Derek, can you do a T-shirt? Oh, you got that right one, Syndicate. Let me see. Brad's seat is on fire right now. He's in Fatty Patty self-preservation mode. Logical moves aren't standard in these situations. That's a bar. That's why we drafted Jeff Okuda. Anyway, let me get off here, man, before we on here for 3 hours. And that's like a Pat McAfee status right there. Now we going to that type of length. So appreciate everybody in the chat. Again, I will check my email, and I'm trying to figure this thing out with the software. And as soon as I get that done, we will be rolling. That's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So with that being said, appreciate you guys. Don't forget, Lion Syndicate, these shirts will be available before the month of February is out. The Relax, You Don't Know Ball t-shirt featuring your guy, Amon-Ra St. Brown, or his doppelganger, because that ain't really him, because I can't sell his stuff. I don't own his likeness. All right. With that being the case, man, appreciate y'all. I will see you on maybe tomorrow, man, if we have something to talk about.
This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Don't mistake the new me for the old me. They can't stop me now, I'm with the whole team. No beginner, I'm a winner. Took a couple losses, now I'm cooking, let me simmer. Yeah, tunnel vision, all I see is win, 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 win. This my city section where you been. We move faster alone, but go further together. We can weather any weather forever. A dream team, I done seen things. Confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team out here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like, Forget the things you probably thought you knew. A new day is approaching, turn the gray skies into blue. I grew up on these same blocks, school of hard knocks. Had to get it on a hard time, took the hard shots, but we made it. Anticipated, highly decorated. The whole team is winning, celebrated. The victory is all mine, and everything is alright. And you know how to see things, confidence is on 100,000. I got family for miles, running up the mileage. Made it through some trials and some tribulations. Now me and the team out here celebrating, yeah. This is where we come from, yeah, we did it. City on my back, I'm committed. This is where we come from, yeah, we made it. Now the whole team celebrating. We like,